San Francisco hires overweight fat activist to give guidance on weight stigma. Weight stigma. So she's going to be giving people guidance on weight stigma. I wonder if this is a totally counterproductive waste of money. I wonder. I'm working with a team at the San Francisco Department of Public Health as a consultant on weight stigma and weight neutrality. She needs a consultant on weight to tell her that she's got too much of it. All right. Virgie Tovar, 42, is dedicated to the fight against weight discrimination and dieting. I think weight discrimination is when you're too fat to fit through the door. I think that counts, right? Or you're too fat for the airplane. The fight against weight discrimination and dieting. Why are you fighting against dieting exactly? Like what? I can't remain silent as long as a single person is trying to lose weight, is trying to be healthier. What? Is that what weight discrimination? Is that when all you can eat isn't really all you can eat? Like you can't actually eat as many deep fried prawns as you want? It says all you can eat. All right. An overweight fat activist. What reality are we living in where such things exist? Where fat activists exist? This is all stuff that was just comedy. This was been from skits on SNL or SCTV or Mad TV or something years ago. Fat activist, everybody would have recognized immediately that is as being a joke character. But apparently this is all super normal now. An overweight fat activist disclosed that she had been hired by the city of San Francisco warehouse to provide guidance on the prevention of weight stigma. Again, that's when you're too fat to fit through the door. On Monday, Virgie Tovar reported the news to her more than 82,000 followers on Instagram. 82,000 followers on Instagram. Why? This comes after California Governor Gavin Newsom announced the state's own version of Doge. President-elect Donald Trump's Department of Government Efficiency. So this is San Francisco. This is California. And they're hiring a fat activist to work on weight stigma. Right at the same time that Gavin Newsom is announcing his own version of Department of Government Efficiency. So maybe his goal is to get rid of everything useful and efficient and only have stuff like weight stigma. I don't know, like fat activists, solving the riddle of the weight stigma. Tovar, 42, wrote in the Post, I'm working with a team at the San Francisco Department of Public Health as a consultant on weight stigma and weight neutrality. What's weight neutrality? She added, I'm unbelievably proud to serve the city I've called home for almost 20 years in this way. I bet she can't believe they're actually giving her money. This consultancy is an absolute dream come true, and it's my biggest hope and belief that weight neutrality will be the future of public health. So what can this possibly mean, weight neutrality? Is it just like it doesn't matter how fat you are? Because already it's kind of like that. Like the law is neutral, right? The law doesn't care how fat you are or how thin, or it doesn't care if you're anorexic. It doesn't care if you're morbidly obese. Seems to be the only way it would actually really matter, right? Something tells me she had to buy 2 seats on a plane, and that's where all this started. Tovar, who has a master's degree in sexuality studies from San Francisco State University. If she's got a degree in sexuality studies, then how does that qualify her to do fat things? Like talk about how it's good for people to be fat for San Francisco. I don't really understand this. But she's an activist who is dedicated to the fight against weight discrimination and dieting. The Blaze reported she is the author of several books, such as You Have the Right. This is beautiful. You have the right to remain fat. Beautiful. Let me just repeat that. You have the right to remain fat. You can't make this up. And the self-love revolution. Radical body positivity for girls of color. Okay. All right. So the book, You Have the Right to Remain Fat. I actually pulled this up earlier and I can't stop laughing because it's so dumb. Let's see. It's ironically hilarious. Sexuality studies. Let's first go to sexuality studies. What is that? Sexuality studies provide students with knowledge about the processes and variations in sexual functions and reproduction, intimate relationships, sexual and gender role development, and behavior, and the social, cultural, historical, and moral contexts of sex and love. Huh.
Oh, a bullshit artist.
Let's see. What does any of this mean? None of these things ever seem to plainly mean anything, right? Like variations in sexual functions and intimate relationships, variations in gender role development and behavior. These are all just a bunch of abstractions, it seems to me. I mean, this isn't a biology course. So they're talking about processes and variations in sexual functions and reproduction. This ain't a biology course, and I've got a feeling that biology is probably outlawed. It's ixnay on the biology, ixnay on the reality in courses like these. So I don't know what any of this actually means. Let's see. The minor program in queer and trans studies intends to delineate, very important to delineate and analyze meanings that have been associated with homosexuality in various artistic, biological, cultural, educational, ethical, historical, and literary contexts, and to examine the related issues of mixed gender and cross gender roles and practices. So that doesn't mean anything. It's just all bullshit. Delineate and analyze meanings that have been associated with homosexuality in various blah, 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 historical, literary, blah. What does any of that mean? What does analyze meanings mean? I mean, I cannot see like analyze descriptions, but analyze meanings. None of this makes any sense at all. It just seems it's just made up. It's just made up for people with no actual expertise at anything to have a job. Because it all just feels made up as they go along, doesn't it? Right? This seems like pointless nonsense to me, and I'm absolutely certain that it is. Examine the related issues of mixed gender and cross-gender roles and practices and delineating them and analyzing meanings. So absolutely nothing of any real value or utility whatsoever. And again, where's the fat part of this? I don't see any fat in here. And shouldn't that be important if she's going to do the fat stigma? She's a fat activist with the fat stigma. Shouldn't that be kind of important? She's not even qualified to spout made up bullshit from her made up bullshit degree in her made up bullshit job. And that, my friends, is equity. Bring back stigma. Bring back shame. I would go so far as to say the city of Seattle should be hiring people to specifically shame and stigmatize this woman. Please do that. I think she'd be better off. She'd be better off than what she's doing right now, which is telling people to be unhealthy and to die early, right? She wrote a book, though. Where's that book? It's the You Have the Right to Remain Fat. Google Books. Let's see. Feminist Press at CUNY. Super surprising. So let's see here. In this bold new book, Tovar eviscerates diet culture, proclaims the joyous possibilities of fatness. Maybe we should rewrite that. Hold on. Proclaims the joyous possibilities of diabetes and shows us that liberation is possible. What does liberation mean in any of these contexts? Like, it's not like liberating France from the Nazis. It's different than that for sure, right? Or liberating, like liberating Belgium, right? Like, it's different from that for sure. Not the same thing. What context they use? Well, the context that use liberation and the left does, it doesn't seem to have any connection to what we all assumed the word liberation meant. Liberation from what? Liberation from exercise? Like liberation from vegetables? What are they talking about here? It's all part of this aggrandizing themselves for being lazy and undisciplined. That's it. And look, I'm lazy and undisciplined too. I need to lose some weight. I mean, I'm not, morbidly obese. I can tell you that. But there's not really anything glorious in what I'm doing, right? need to exercise more, need to eat a little better. There's not a glory in that. There's nothing to be proud of, right? I don't need to be liberated from exercising a more I don't need to be liberated from exercising more. I feel better when I do it. I mean, what else can it mean? Liberation is possible. Liberation from what? It's not like an occupying force, right? It's liberation from standards. I guess that's it. Just liberation from standards, right? And that's what the stigmatization is about. Any standard is stigmatization and shame, and then that's colonialism or white supremacy or something. It's bad though. Anyway, I'm really tired right now. Oh, oh, I got sweaty just walking to the door to pick up to skip the dishes. I need more liberation. I don't know what's going on here. What do you think? Growing up as a fat girl, Virgie Tovar believed that her body was something to be fixed, and she was right. I don't know who disabused her of that very real notion, but they should be ashamed of themselves. After 2 decades of dieting and constant guilt, she was over it and gave herself the freedom to trust her own body again. And what does that even mean? Trust your own body? Well, I don't know. I mean, if you get heart palpitations from walking up a flight of stairs, maybe you should trust that, right? And say, "Oh, my body's trying to tell me something. My body's trying to tell me maybe I shouldn't have had that last pound of bacon this morning." And here's another thing: if you smell like bacon all the time, you're eating too much bacon. Although I love bacon. Trust your own body again. I mean, what, like voices in her head or voices in her head telling her something? No, no, you're not fat enough, in fact. No, no, you should be more fat. Because maybe that's just mental illness at that point. I don't know. Ever since she's been helping others do the same, Tovar is hungry. You bet she is. Tovar is hungry for a world where bodies are valued equally. That's never going to happen. Like, that's never like, what are you talking about? Beauty standards? Sorry, we're not all born equally that way. I wasn't born Brad Pitt, just the way it is, right? I have to live with that. Okay, I have to live with not being Robert Redford. All right, it's just the way it is. It's not, doesn't mean the world is wrong. Doesn't mean that nature is wrong. That's just the way it is. What you can do is try to maximize what you've got. And you know what? For the vast majority of people, that works out just fine. Works out just great, right? Tovar is hungry for a world where bodies are valued equally. Is she talking about cannibalism there? I don't know. She's hungry. Food is free from moral judgment. Is it really a moral judgment, though, when you just say, hey, maybe you shouldn't gulp down that 2 liter of Coke? Like, is that moral judgment or is it just common sense? And you can jiggle through life with respect. Well, you can tell yourself that's what you're doing. In concise and candid language, she delves into unlearning fat phobia. Unlearning fat phobia, dismantling sexist notions of fashion. It's all things she has problems with here. And how to reject diet culture's greatest lie. That fat people need to wait. Okay, we don't need to see any more of this. It's all just self-serving, self-delusional gibberish and nonsense. This is all just there to excuse people indulging their worst selves. That's it. It's all just narcissism and delusion. Yeah, I don't know. This is just dumb. It's just also stupid. You can't believe it's actually real. Like that a city at San Francisco would hire somebody to just spout this self-serving gibberish. Counterproductive for everybody, including herself. Gibberish. Let's see. Tovar posted on her Instagram that in recent years she has gone no contact with her family. It's the cult. It's the cult. No contact with anybody who's not already in the cult. Her page is filled with content about how to throw size-inclusive holiday parties. But really, it all comes down to, I mean, the whole thing, this whole discipline that she's engaged in, she's got her degree with and everything, all of it is just, I don't want to do stuff. Like, all of it is, well, I don't want to go for a walk. The whole thing is just, nah, I do feel like having that 2 liter of ice cream. That's the whole thing. That's the whole fat studies thing. And that's not even her thing, by the way. She has a degree in sexuality studies, although I'm sure that most of the people involved in that with sexuality studies are also fat, so maybe that's how it works. Anyway, pretty dumb. Did I have anything written down for this one? Oh yeah, she said it's a dream come true, right? She said it was a dream come true to get this job, right? So getting paid for being lazy and just making it up as she goes along, which is what that's what all of these grievance people do. The grievance studies, it's all just making it up as you go along, as long as it feels like it's going in a progressive direction and nothing in it suggests that you should take any personal responsibility whatsoever. That's why it's so bad for Western civilization. I mean, everything the modern left does is destructive to individuals and then in turn to society, because you've got a bunch of dysfunctional individuals making up your society. It's not good. I mean, here's the thing. Complain about healthcare costs. Uh, how about this? How about getting rid of fat stigma and weight neutrality? How about that? Because obesity, especially morbid obesity, is very expensive. It costs a lot of money for medical care because you're going to need a lot of it. Anyway, that's all I'm going to say about that. Please like, share, and subscribe. Subscribing really helps me out. I thank you for that. I will see you next time.